It's no news that the housing market has gone bizarre with the sporadic hikes in market prices. In fact, most of these increases have been largely due to fluctuations in macroeconomic factors such as inflation rate, monetary policy rate, and low inventory supply, including large immigration and political factors. These increases have actually made it seem impossible for people to own homes today. Well, in this video, I'll be giving you 13 tips which I personally applied, and if you apply effectively, would help you purchase your home in 6 to 12 months. Now sit tight and let's enjoy this together. Now the first tip which you should focus on if you have not done this is to reasonably build your credit score. So you cannot overemphasize the importance of credit score building because it appears to be the foundation upon which any debt or loan you'll be getting will be built upon. So you need to start by building your credit score up. So the second thing you need to do is to perform a mortgage affordability assessment. Your mortgage affordability assessment starts first by determining the value of the home you want to purchase. So once you've determined how much the value of the home you want to purchase is, the next step is to determine how much down payment are you going to be putting down on that home. Now the next thing that's included as part of that assessment is determination of your household income. So yourself, your spouse, if you have any, you need to join your resources and determine how much is your household income as a whole. So the other thing that is also captured as part of the accessibility assessment is your mortgage interest. The mortgage interest will be stress tested to determine if you can still afford to pay the mortgage interest as at the time when interest or prime rate goes up in the future. So my recommendation to you regarding the mortgage interest is to shop around for good rates, check different financial institutions to know who can give you the best rate, and of course determine your personal situation to know if you want to go for variable rates or fixed rates. Another thing that's also going to be factored in as part of your affordability assessment is your existing expenses or debts. Now, expenses such as your condo fees, your utility, your gas, or whatever the cost may be associated with the home, or your existing expenses or debt like your car loan fees, or any daycare fees, or personal, maybe like groceries, utility, whatever the case may be that you're incurring on a month-to-month basis. Those factors will be included as part of your affordability assessment. Now, the rule of thumb, or what I would recommend for you is as much as possible, try to reduce your cost head and maintain this consistently just few months before you purchase your home. So for me, what I tried to do was to avoid purchasing a car with an auto loan as much as possible. That really helped to reduce my debt burden overall. So if you're not aware, what mortgage experts really calculate is what I call the debt service ratio. Now, the debt service ratio is made up of two types. There's the gross debt service ratio and then there's the total debt service ratio. So the gross debt service ratio is calculated by simply adding your principal, your interest, your taxes, that's your property taxes, as well as your heating expenses, and dividing that by your total income for the year. Now, there's a limit of 39% that you should not exceed. So if you do this calculation and you're realizing that you're exceeding the 39%, all you need to do is cut down on your monthly costs so you are able to afford much more than you can. The total debt service cost is simply calculated by using all your broader expenses. That's your house expenses, including your car loan expenses, and every other expense like your utility, your personal bills, your credit card interest, and dividing that by your annual income. Now, it has a limit of 44%. So what I would recommend to you is do your calculations, try to assess your gross debt service ratio and your total debt service ratio. If you're realizing that it's exceeding 39 and 44% respectively, then you need to find a way to cut down on your expenses or debts so that you are able to afford much more than you can. So the third factor which I also adopt and I would recommend is have a budget and a savings goal. So for me, what I did was to establish a budget which helped me to track my inflow and my outflow to determine areas where I needed to adjust or make some changes, and from there I was able to track my expenditures even better. Now the second thing was I established a high interest savings account where I was putting funds towards a target amount. So for instance, if I was targeting say $50,000, I was saving towards the $50,000, and watching the figure go down was a big motivation to me. So the first strategy which I adopted was to increase my income sources. So if you've not done that, you need to find a way to do that today. Now, there are many income sources today. We have earned income, we have side hustles, we have passive income that you can actually adopt. So if you don't have a passive income, think about things like dividend and many other things that you don't have to move a finger to make money. like look for opportunities to tap into those areas. Then another thing you also need to look at is side hustles. So if you're not doing a side hustle, you can look at how you can do side hustles at your free time. Earn income. If you have a 9-to-5 job, consider the possibility of maybe negotiating an increase in your salary if you need to, or change of jobs if you also need to. That's on the basis that your income is not giving as much funds that is required to support your goals or objective regarding purchasing a home. So another effective strategy which I think is helpful and is a mistake I've seen a lot of people make that prevents them from purchasing their home is to embark on some activity that requires them taking a loan, for instance a new auto loan or any kind of long-term loan that's going to impact their debt abilities. Now, what you need to do is avoid those things as much as possible, or if possible, just pay outright cash for those items. For me, in my own case, I bought my car outright cash just to reduce the debt burden for myself. So the sixth strategy is to apply for a line of credit. Now, I see a lot of people don't even think about this. I always recommend as one of the first set of things you need to do if you want to purchase a home, apply for a line of credit. Reach out to your financial institution and find out if they have lines of credit available for you. And if you have been dealing with your financial institution for a while, there's a high likelihood that you have opportunities for you to get or access lines of credit. So just reach out to them, call your financial institution today and find out from them if they have this possibility for you. However, you need to be very disciplined regarding it. So the next strategy I'll be talking about is reducing your cost head or expenditure as much as possible. Now, you cannot overemphasize the importance of this because there are some expenditures that are not necessary for you. So discretionary expenditures are probably not necessary, like subscriptions, paying for TV bills or whatever the case may be, that you can actually avoid or do away with and still be fine. You might think about how to eliminate some of those things. The other thing is, if you are currently renting and where you stay is probably very large, you might want to consider downsizing or getting a roommate. I realize that that's some way to reduce your cost significantly. Okay, so the 8th point I want to talk about is your down payment. Now, the down payment is very important. So if you're not aware, if you're purchasing a home for less than $500,000, you need to have at least 5% of the total sum as your down payment. Now, if your home exceeds the $500,000 mark, whatever excess above $500,000 goes at 10% range. And if your home gets to $1 million, then you need to pay at least 20% of that amount as your down payment. So the question now becomes, where do you put your down payment? There are many ways you can actually put your down payment. If you're a risk-averse person who is not open to fluctuations in the amount that you have already as down payment or how much you've saved so far, you might as well consider high interest savings account like I did in my own case. But if you're a more risk-aggressive person, then you might consider putting your money into things like ETFs or stocks or investing in a business and hoping that it turns out well. However, I wouldn't recommend this because there's a chance you could lose all your funds in one day, or the value of your funds might drop over time. So if you don't want that to happen, then consider a more risk-averse approach such as a high-interest savings account. So the other thing I would recommend to you to do is ensure you take advantage of the government-registered plans. So there are different government-registered plans today. We have the RRSP, we have the FHSA, which is the First Home Savings Account, and we also have the TFSA, which is Tax-Free Savings Account. Now, for your RRSP, you're able to access $35,000 for each person. That's yourself and your spouse each, which makes it about $70,000 if you have been saving into your RRSP for the longest while. Your TFSA is non-taxable. Whatever you save there, you can use to do all your transactions. All your interest income will not be taxed, so this is a very good avenue to save for your down payment. So the First Home Savings Account sets a limit of about $8,000, which you can save into for the longest while. All these things can add up to help you save up for your down payment. So the 10th strategy, which I think is very crucial, which I see that some people don't do, is to get your pre-qualification ready and early. So the pre-qualification assessment is done by the financial institutions to determine how much loan that will be available to you for your home purchase. So if you do your pre-approval early, you have the opportunity to lock in a very good rate, that's interest rate, which can help you down the line. You can actually lock it for up to 3 months, and even if there are fluctuations in the interest rate over time, then your interest rate you've locked in will still remain static for you. So one mistake I've actually seen is when some people want to take advantage of all the mortgage availability funds available to them. For example, if you are pre-approved for say $500,000 and you probably don't need a home of $500,000 and you actually need just a home of $350,000, I would recommend you don't take up all the whole $500,000 to purchase a home simply because you can afford to get that $500,000. Just go for what you can afford, which makes it easier for you and reduces your down payment over time. The next point I would recommend is for you to find a good realtor and a good mortgage agent. Now, this will help you to purchase the right home and go to the right neighborhood, and so that you make the right choices with the home you want to purchase. So the 12th thing I would like to talk about, which you must never forget, is your closing costs. I've seen a lot of people forget about the closing costs. They save for the down payment and don't save up for the closing cost. Well, you actually have to think about your closing costs whenever you're saving for your down payment. However, there's a possibility that financial institutions might be willing or interested in giving you funds for your closing costs. Just reach out to your mortgage agent and find out if the financial institutions they are using are willing to provide such support for you. So the 13th tip I want to tell you about is what I call the land transfer rebate. So the land transfer rebate is something that helps to offset the cost of your land transfer tax. Now, even me, I didn't know about this when I wanted to purchase a home, but I think it's something you need to remember or know about. So inquire from your lawyer or whoever is going to be helping out with the closing of your home about the land transfer rebate and request that it's deducted from your land transfer tax. So a few bonus tips which you need to take into consideration is: number 1, get an inspection certificate before closing out your home. Number 2, if you're buying a condo, ensure to review the condo status certificate before you make that purchase. Number 3, you also need to note that you can only amortize your mortgage loan for 25 years if you put down less than 20% down payment. However, if you put more than 20% down payment, then you can amortize for up to 30 years and of course 35 years if you use the B lender. Number 4, don't forget to take advantage of your home buyer's tax credit when filing your tax in the next financial year. Alright, thanks for taking your time to watch me. If you've not followed this channel, please do so, like and subscribe to this video, and if you've gained a lot of value, click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post another video of such value to you. Thank you and see you at the next video. Bye.